Okay, first off, let's take a final look at these two Predictas restored and back in their cabinet. Here's the Holiday, and you can see it turned out really nice. CRT case has been cleaned, screen's been cleaned.
How soon do you think?
So yeah, turned out really nice.
Yeah, I guess I better, since having it come as a surprise to them.
If you want to be subtle about it, you could start calling her Henrietta.
Still wants to roll every now and then.
I think I want to go out and look at Henry again.
We are looking at 1965. It's easy today from the world of tomorrow. They call it Predicta. The picture just floats in the air. Philco Predicta. The picture can turn anywhere. Philco Predicta. No picture could ever compare with Philco Predicta. But Philco Predicta.
Good evening. I'm Nelson Case. Well, what do you think? Is there any wonder it's called the most advanced television of our time? And the credit all belongs to Philco television scientists who have worked years to develop a radically new semi-flat picture tube which measures less from front to back than any you've ever seen. They've created a new Predicta chassis which puts more picture power in less space. And for the first time in television history, they've discovered a way to separate the tube from the chassis. Now, all this makes possible a new approach to the design, use, and enjoyment of television receivers as we know them. Here's another example of that result. The Philco Predicta Pedestal, a completely new console TV, exciting and different. It's truly TV today from the world of tomorrow. But there's more. There's so much more that you haven't seen, even dreamed of. So be sure to stay tuned in for your first preview look at the most exciting television line in the world. Just a sample of what's in store for you right now at your Philco dealer, where it's 1965 today.
Okay guys, moving on to the final Predicta, the Pedestal set. Also, you'll hear me refer to it as the barber pole. If you've been watching this series, you've heard me call it a barber pole. That's a nickname for the Philco Pedestal set because of the barber pole looking design of the cabinet. You can see that I have it back from my woodworking friend, and that leg is repaired. If you recall from my original videos, this piece here is a donor piece that's been refinished to match the set from a roached pedestal that I acquired earlier. So I have it back together now, and you can see it looks pretty nice. And one thing that I did do that's not original, and I generally don't like to do this to my sets, but I did have some wheels added to the bottom. Okay, so it's got 3 wheels on it now, and that'll make it a lot easier on carpet to move around. If any of you guys have ever owned one of these sets, you know how clunky they are to move around. And so the addition of some wheels, I think, is going to make it easier to deal with inside the house. So now I have the chassis installed, and it all went back in there just fine. I want to show you the high voltage cage. If you recall, had a bunch of wax that had melted off this this horizontal output transformer, and that's all been cleaned up and taken care of. And it shouldn't happen again because it's got that RTV 133 sealant on it that will keep it nice and tidy in there, hopefully. So one other thing that I have to report and tell you about that was a major problem on this When I got the set back, or the cabinet back, I put the insides and the chassis back in, and I had a major problem. And that was something that I haven't ran into ever in my vintage TV restoration projects, and I've probably had 20 or 25 over the last 7 or 8 years that I've been in this hobby. And that is the tuner all of a sudden took a dump on me and stopped working. So what I was getting was just a completely gray screen, had no video, had no sound. So the first thing I did was exchange tubes. Maybe a tube had went bad, and that did not fix the problem. And I think I know what the problem is on this tuner. There is a video cable that connects right here. And I was really able to narrow down that what was happening was the signal was not coming out of the tuner and coming into the IF strip here. I put my old scope on a point right here, and there was no signal at all coming. So quickly realized this tuner was not functioning, which becomes a big problem because here is the tuner from my previous Pedestal donor set, and you can see that it's in pretty rough shape. Now, I don't know, it may work, but it has a lot of rust and grime, and it's pretty dirty. I'm sure I could probably make that work, but I did have another option. And this is a set that I've never showed you guys before. This is a Philco Holiday Blonde set. I recently bought this, not very long ago, maybe a month ago, and I got it for $50 off of Craigslist. And the thing that was attractive about it is that, first of all, the person selling it lived about 2 miles from me, which was amazing to me. Generally don't have a lot of people around my area selling vintage TVs. And the price, $50. The bad part about this set with the 2.35 filament voltage, and I knew that I haven't really been able to see that and verify that here, but I could tell by looking at the chassis that it hadn't been modified for the 6.3 volt. So my assumption is this is the 2.35 volt filament volt CRT. I did test this on the tester, and it's dead as a doorknob, so this is not a candidate to be restored. So in essence, this chassis has become a donor chassis. I'm sure my flyback is good. I know this on-off switch is good. And you'll notice there's no tuner here. Okay. The reason is because that tuner is now living and breathing in this set. Okay, it was in fantastic shape, almost brand new looking, and I inserted that into this set, and lo and behold, the set came alive, and we're getting a picture now. So I'm going to go ahead and hook up a signal here and let you get a final look at the set playing. Okay, got a signal applied here. Let's see what we get. Got the dial 8 lit up. And I apologize, this set is so large on my bench that it actually gets up into my fluorescent lighting. And it does kind of wash the picture out, but let's see what we got here.
Tired from shooting baskets over at Willie's.
I'm tired too. I must have got that ball in the bushes a million times. You think Eddie will get on the team?
I don't know. For a guy with great form, he's the worst player I've ever seen.
That's twice.
Okay, so there we go.
And he doesn't even look at the basket.
Well, that Eddie's
And
character.
not a bad
Over there at
picture.
our house when he missed, he blamed
It's kind of
it on
hard
the
to
basket.
tell
Over at the Dennison's, he claimed it was because
I'll probably get it down on the floor and let you get another look with it not so close to that light, but
Say, Wally, you're going to ruin
it is
Yes, Dad.
playing great. Nice stable picture, and it looks a lot better now that I've cleaned that
And we know, Dad. We seen your
cleaned that
pictures
safety
on
glass. You can tell it's a
They sure were pretty pants in those days.
lot more crisp than it was on the previous video.
Styles change, Beaver. Anyway, I was
So getting some interference from those lights too.
for you downtown this afternoon.
Gee, thanks, Dad.
So
Evidently, it's
come over here,
Boy, it's neat.
turn the light out.
Oh, by the way, the basket is regulation now, too. I raised it, but... So, if you fellas want to play basketball over here, you don't have to worry about losing your shooting eye.
Gee, Dad,
Not a bad
that's
picture
slow.
for the
You
original
didn't have to go to all that trouble.
2.35 filament volt picture tube.
I know that, Beaver, but sometimes I like to have you play over here.
And the back of it.
Mother likes to know where you are.
You know, Wally, I think his dad would like to know.
All right.
Yeah.
So
He's been working home these past weekends, and I didn't think he wanted us around to bother him.
that's going to bring this dual restoration of Philco Predictas to a close. If you've been following along, hope you've enjoyed it. Appreciate you being here.
If the guys don't like it, they can leave.
And I'll see you guys on the next restore.
We can choose up sides between ourselves and play.
In the history of television.
We are looking at 1965. It's TV today from the world of tomorrow. They call it Predicta. The picture just floats in the air. Philco Predicta. The picture can turn anywhere. Philco Predicta. No picture could ever compare with Philco Predicta. With Philco Predicta.
Good evening. I'm Nelson Case. Well, what do you think? Is there any wonder it's called the most advanced television of our time? And the credit all belongs to Philco television scientists who have worked years to develop a radically new semi-flat picture tube which measures less from front to back than any you've ever seen. They created a new Predicta chassis which puts more picture power in less space. And for the first time in television history, they've discovered a way to separate the tube from the chassis. Now, all this makes possible a new approach to the design, use, and enjoyment of television receivers as we know them. Here's another example of that result. The Philco Predicta Pedestal, a completely new console TV, exciting and different. It's truly TV today from the world of tomorrow. But there's more. There's so much more that you haven't seen or even dreamed of. So be sure to stay tuned in for your first preview look at the most exciting television line in the world. Just a sample of what's in store for you right now at your Philco dealers, where it's 1965 today.